Hi, good morning. At least it's morning here. This is Tina Lorenz. I'm your freelance copywriter, mindset shifter, and transformational business coach and consultant, coming to you live from world headquarters here in Tucson, Arizona. And today, let's talk for a few minutes about the dreaded word tech. Now, maybe for some of you that doesn't strike fear in your heart, but for me, that's one of those things of like, oh no, that, that emoji, that one. Yeah. So what I have found a lot of times when I'm first starting to teach people about freelance copywriting, which is what I do and what I teach, is that they're really stressed out about technology, that they're going to have to learn all this tech stuff. And I've even had some people, like I found out that they were like, I'm trying to learn how to build WordPress sites and I need to learn how to post a blog, and do I need to post this thing on LinkedIn? And it's like, what? No, absolutely not. So let me tell you a couple of points about how you handle tech as a freelance copywriter. Well, basically, you don't, unless you want to. The technology aspect of this, excuse me, early in the morning, the technology aspect of this is your client's job. And so this is something that when you're doing a freelance copywriting project, you just let them know right from the start. I don't do the tech. And so your responsibility will be to take these emails and put them in your email provider, or you will take this sales copy and you will put it on your website, or you will take this blog post and you will install it on your blog. Whatever it may be, it's not your job as a freelance copywriter. So this is the good news for most of us, right? Now, I do have some students that are like, I love tech and I offer this as an additional service. And if that's you, that's great. But for most of us, what I have found over the years of doing this is that for most of us, that's not the case. We're interested in writing. We love the words. We love the strategy. We love connecting with the audience and creating success for our clients. But we do not love doing anything to do with the technology. So the other thing that comes up then was, how do I get the copy to the client? What do I do? So here's how I've always done it. And I've been doing this since 2004. And it always has worked just fine, because I damaging admission here maybe, but I don't even really like Google Docs, right? And so I've had some clients that were like, well, we put all of our stuff into Google Docs. And I'm like, well, that's great, but I don't. So, this is also how you build what I call a perimeter of power around your business, where you own your business and how you're going to connect with that client, how you're going to deliver what you do. And you just have very protocols, just really structured protocols for how you do that. But they're really, really simple. So here's the thing. If you're writing for a client, here's what I do. I deliver it as a Word document. I just write it in Word. That's how I prefer to work, so I can go back and edit and do what I want to do with it while I'm working on it over the days that I'm writing. And then I just put it in a Word document and send it to the client. So for example, if I'm writing a sales letter, it's going to be a Word doc attached to an email with maybe some simple instructions to the client, or we've talked ahead of time, and I send it. And then they do the rest of the work. If they want to put it into a Google Doc, and I've had clients say, well, that's what we want to do with it while we're getting ready to design it. So that's fine, but this is how I send it. This is how I work. And so don't be afraid to do that in your business, to say, this is how I do it. And then you can do what you need to do next. So you send it as a simple Word document. Same with emails. Now, the way I like to do email sending is I usually write at least 7, sometimes 10, sometimes 12 in a sequence. And the way I do it is not one by one, not peppering your client with one email at a time. I make one continuous document with the emails in it. And so on each page, I write the email with the subject lines and the email. And then for the second email, I go to a next page, whether that's a page and a half, whether that's 2 pages. I go to the next page and start at the top, email number 2, subject lines, sometimes more than one subject line, and the email. When I write the email number 3, go to the top of the next form, email 3. So by the time they get it, it might be 10 or 12 or 15 pages long with those 7 to 10 emails in it. But they're each numbered, and I'm very clear on what they need to do with them. And just send it as a Word doc. And then they take those emails and they make the magic happen as far as the technology. Now, if you're writing blog posts, same thing. You just write that blog post in a Word document, send it to your client. If you're writing something for LinkedIn for them, same thing. Now, I do have some clients that offer additional services where they'll do some of the bells and whistles, shall we say, a few of the extra things. It's kind of like what we call an upsell. You can say, but for an additional fee, I will also do this for you, like install it on your blog. If you want to do that, I would charge for it. That's first thing. And second is, you do not have to do that if you don't want to. You really don't. So we also don't do the design. Now, as far as how it looks when it's on a web page or how it looks when it sends out as an email, that's not our job as freelance copywriters. It's not your job as a freelance copywriter. You don't have to do any of that. Now, there is a tiny bit of what I would call design formatting that I do intentionally when I write copy, and this is what I would recommend for you as a freelance copywriter. We are thinking about how it is going to look on the page. What is that experience going to be for the consumer of our copy, the person who's reading, the prospect, the client? How is that going to, what kind of experience are they going to have with that? And so what we don't want is a wall of plain text on a white wall, right? Of just, it's so overwhelming, it's hard to read, it's all jammed together, and it's not a good user experience. And so we want to think about the experience of the person reading your copy, consuming your copy. So we're going to work with short sentences, short paragraphs, lots of spaces, right? And what you do intentionally, what I recommend is that if you want something bolded, you bold it in the copy. If you want it with italics, you italicize it in the copy. If you want bullet points, you put bullet points in the copy. Now you may just put plain little dots, bing, 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 the really simple bullet points or a check mark, and that's okay because your client will undoubtedly take that copy and kind of jazz it up with their designs. They may use, like on my copy, I have hummingbirds for bullet points, right? So I worked with my designer. I didn't create that. I showed them what I wanted. I showed them an example personally of what I wanted it to be and my colors and all that, and then they made it happen. And the same thing for your client. They're going to make that happen. So when you want, if you want space, if you want a new paragraph, if you want a subhead, which is when we put the little bolded kind of connecting points between the paragraphs, then you do that in a slightly bigger font and you bold it. And so that's what I tell my clients. I say, here's what I do when I write your copy. What I want you to do is take it the way I've written it and interpret it into your design, but follow the path that I'm creating for you. If I bold it, I want you to bold it. If it's italicized, I want you to italicize it. If there's a bullet point, I want a bullet point. You get the idea, right? Because this is all part of, it actually impacts how the copy is read, how it's processed, how the brain of the person reading it takes it in, and that you have certain things you want to emphasize, certain things that you do want to stand out. Now here's another little hint. This is kind of a little bit sideways from the tech, but as far as the consumption of the copy, you want your headline and your subheads to read smoothly. So one of my pet peeves is subheads are these kind of, we call them connectors, little breaking up points where you have like a centered bold statement and then the paragraph, and you'll go for a while and there'll be another centered bold statement. They're not headlines by themselves, but they are subheads, so subheadlines basically. And what that does is it breaks up the copy so that it's very easy to read, because some people are skimmers. Believe it or not, when we write all these awesome words on the page, not everybody's going to read all of them. Some people are going to just read the headline and they're going to skim through and they're going to read those bolded parts. They're going to read that bolded subhead. They might stop and read those bullet points, and they're going to go really fast all the way through the sales letter to possibly the call to action or the button that they're going to hit to say, yes, I want this right now. I want to join this right now. And so you want it to make sense. It should be able to read your headline and your subheads, at least that part, your headlines and your subhead. You should be able to read them aloud and have it make some kind of cohesive sense. That it isn't just like random assemblage of words, but it's like there's a flow. There's a flow from start to finish as you read just those parts. And you'll find that when you do that, your copy is going to get so much better, that much faster. This is the kind of stuff I teach in my programs, and this is how you become a really good copywriter. Now, one other little hint on when you're bolding, don't just bold random words. Think about, is that what I really want to call attention to? Does it create kind of a pattern? Does it make sense as I read through the sales letter? We've got somebody racing a car, it sounds like. As I read through this sales letter, does the bolded part make sense when I read them aloud? Does it tie together as I'm reading it? And of course, it's not going to be like you're just reading one continuous sentence, but does it resonate in a way that's like, okay, yeah, oh yeah, that makes sense too. That's a logical progression, right? A logical progression through the copy. So I hope this reassures you about the whole aspect of the technology, because I don't do any of those things. I have never done any of the tech at all, and you don't have to either. And when I make this clear to students, they're usually going, whew, great giant sigh of relief, and it's like, okay, the choirs of angels are singing. I get to write. I get to do the thing that I love doing, which is writing with a marketing strategy at the core. And by the way, one other little tip. If you are writing blog posts for a client, and by the way, that's a nice way to get retainer clients. If they also need some blog posts, then I would say don't just write one. You're going to write a series of them, but another topic for another day. But the thing you do as a copywriter is you're not just a dime a dozen freelance writer, right? You're not someone that's just like, here, $10 a blog post kind of a thing. What you do when you speak with your client, and if they do want something like that, is say, the thing is, I approach this from a marketing perspective. So we're going to begin with the end in mind. We're going to begin with, where do you want to go with these? What is the purpose of them besides showing someone what you had for breakfast, or your beautiful knitting, or your artwork, or what your dog did today? That most people, that if they're paying someone to write copy for a blog, then they probably or should have an intention of how that's going to be monetized for them. It's not just a hobby, right? That it's a business. And so when you write blog posts from the perspective of a freelance copywriter, you should be able to build in that invisible marketing core into every single blog post, so that there's kind of an open-ended, oh, I want to read the next one. I want to read the next one. Almost like you're creating a series, basically, where the person's kind of getting hooked on the fact that they just love reading this, and it's giving them value, they're learning something, whatever the blog's about, but that because there's an invisible kind of threads woven through it of how your marketing brain is thinking when you write that blog post. That makes you more valuable to your client, because when you have those kinds of conversations with them, they're going, wow, this person really knows what they're talking about. I prefer to work with this person rather than someone that's just regurgitating words, right? Where we're really putting some thought into it and some strategy, that even though it might be a blog post about chocolate chip cookies, there's something at the core of that, of where we're going with that eventually. And that is how you serve your clients at the highest level. So I hope this has been helpful to you, and I hope this relieves, if you've been concerned about, I don't think I can be a freelance copywriter because I don't do the tech. Here's what you need to be a freelance copywriter. You need an interest in marketing, okay? That is actually one of the top things. You need to enjoy writing. We're writers, okay? You need to enjoy words, the power of them, the juiciness of them, putting them together. You need to enjoy writing. You should enjoy marketing as well. And so you have those two things, right? And then you need a computer. It can be a laptop, it could be a desktop. You're not going to do this on an iPad or a phone. You're not going to run your business from an iPad or a phone, okay? You do need a computer. It's going to, for this kind of business, you need a desktop or a laptop, okay? You need a good internet connection, and you need a cell phone, so that if you do need to talk to your client, you can talk to them that way, or you can talk to them online on your computer. That's what you need. A place to work, a quiet corner, whether that's a spare bedroom, whether that's your dining room table, whether it's an actual corner of one of the rooms of your house, wherever that is for you. Hey, for me, it's also in the mobile office. I've built in an office, and that's why we call it the mobile office, because we've built an office into a corner of it. It's not big, the office space, but it's very, very functional. That's all you need. That's all you need. And then the mindset and the spirit that goes with it, and understanding how to write the copy. A mentor is always a good thing to have, someone that can teach you the ropes, someone that's been there. I see too many copywriting programs where someone's been copywriting for 5 minutes, and suddenly they have a program and they're an expert, right? And so really looking for someone that's got years of experience and proven that they can do it. They've actually done very well financially as a copywriter. That's the kind of person I want to learn from, and that's what I did when I was first getting started. That's why I learned from people like Gary Bensavenga and John Carlton right from the beginning. And I think that's also how I was able to build my business very quickly, because I got the real deal for the skills right at the core of everything right from the beginning. So that's just another recommendation I have for you. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful Tucson morning with me. Let me just take a minute to say hi. Let's see who's here. Here's Perna. Oh, nice to see you. Let's see. It's kind of early. We've got Jean, we've got Tavanda, Sharon, Ali. So nice to see you. Thanks for joining me, Fiona. I try to look for the questions in here, but I have to admit that when I do this with my phone, it's kind of hard because I have to go, the fickle finger of fate here. And if you remember laughing, I'm dating myself. So if you do have any questions about any of this, pop them in the comments. Always appreciate it if you give me a love or a share, or say, hey, this was valuable to me. Then that's why I'm doing this, because I made the commitment every day in October. So today I actually was thinking about this last night, and I woke up thinking, that whole tech thing is like not a good deal for a lot of freelance copywriters. I love that the tech is there, the automation, the ability to do this. Zoom, make friends with Zoom. You've probably been hearing about I've been using Zoom for a couple of years, but it became like, okay, now everybody really does need how to use Zoom. And I got to tell you, I still struggle with techie things that I do, like when I'm doing a webinar and I've got the slides and I've got to figure out how to do the recording. I've had to push myself but I do it for my own growth in my business, because that's the name of the game also, is continuing to grow your skills, acquire the knowledge, invest in yourself, right? I've invested in myself from the beginning because it's not an expense, it's an investment when it can return to you that and beyond what you invested in it. And that's one of the things I look at when I'm investing in any kind of training for myself. And I still do every single year. I'm in very expensive masterminds, normally traveling this time of year, doing traveling around the country, but we're enjoying this is our version of fall right now. And we're still having kind of hot middle of the days, so it's been kind of unusual that way, but we have these beautiful mornings. And we'll talk about contemplation and finding these natural places that feed your spirit. So that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this. I am going to go now, and I will talk to you again, because I told you I would, tomorrow. Oh, by the way, tomorrow is going to be a little bit of a change coming tomorrow. I'll tell you all about that tomorrow. Take care, have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon, okay?